is Natasha Amira binti Muhammad Zainuddin. I will be presenting the risk assessment on risk categories that are affected by coronavirus disease 2019. First risk assessment on first category I will explain is health risk. The coronavirus outbreak began in Wuhan, China in November 2019 and has since spread worldwide. Everyone anywhere has been evenly at risk of contracting coronavirus illness, with no exception COVID-19. The goal of the risk assessment is to evaluate the COVID-19 risk in order to live a healthy life and survive COVID-19. It also seeks to lower the risk of infection and worsening health in those who currently have severe chronic lung issues. COVID-19 is a respiratory disorder that mostly affects the upper respiratory system, including the lungs. The lungs are the first organs of the body to be impacted by COVID-19. A severe case of COVID-19 is also more common in the elderly. Because of their advanced age, their lung tissues may be less elastic and their immunity may be impaired. The virus has the potential to harm the lungs, increasing the risk of long-term health issues. COVID-19 sickness appears to put all the faults and people with major underlying medical illnesses like heart or lung disease or diabetes at a higher risk of having more serious complications. Close interaction with family and friends and the general public while not knowing where they are going before meeting up is a physical concern in this instance. People with significant illnesses, on the other hand, do not practice social distancing and take good care of themselves. As a result, they are more likely to become infected with the virus, which can be harmful to their health. And not only that, but COVID-19's easy dissemination via airborne particles, infected surfaces, and waste allow it to infect others. People with higher risk of viral transmission and poorer results, such as those in their 60s and above and those with underlying health issues, were the hazard in this COVID-19 affected health risk. COVID-19 typically attacks the lungs of those who are infected, and in severe circumstances, it can lead to death. Some people are more susceptible to severe disease, which may necessitate hospitalization, placement in an intensive care unit, the use of a ventilator to assist them breathe, or even death. COVID-19 can kill anyone, although the majority of people who die from it are over the age of 85 or have a chronic disease. This danger has the potential to cause mortality, to cause poor health, and significant high treatment costs.
I will talk about the risk management process for health risk. Firstly is identifying existing and potential risks. Risk of pneumonia. Pneumonia is a lung infection. It can caused by the virus, bacteria, and including COVID-19 itself, which is disseminated through the airborne transmission. Secondly, evaluating potential risks. According to the KNIP, she found about 44,500 confirmed infection during the first month of the pandemic, with pneumonia being recorded in 81% of the cases. Therefore, frequency is high. Other than that, it is found that the risk of the fatal disease is high, especially among unvaccinated individuals, and it was reported that pneumonia is the second largest cause of death in Malaysia. Thirdly, examining alternative risk management technique. If you refer to the risk matrix table, it shows that risk avoidance, loss prevention, and loss reductions are possible ways to handle the problems. After that, we need to select and implement risk management program. To use a risk avoidance approach to handle the problem is not possible, as pneumonia during COVID-19 is rapidly spread. We may use loss prevention. People are advised to continue to implement infection control measures such as frequent hand washing, wear a face mask, and practice physical distancing. Besides that, practice lifestyle habits that can help boost the immune system, such as staying hydrated, eating a healthy diet, and getting enough sleep. Other than that, we could use a loss reduction. For example, these people are recommended to get vaccine like COVID-19 vaccine, pneumococcal vaccine, and influenza vaccine, which can help prevent infection by bacteria and virus that can cause pneumonia. Furthermore, every home is encouraged to have pulse oximeter, which help to detect how much oxygen in your blood, and if less than 96%, you should seek treatment. Lastly, evaluating, reviewing, and controlling the risk management program. Risk management programs that have been adopted must be monitored to ensure their effectiveness and to determine whether they are still appropriate or not. Since the pandemic of COVID-19 is still present, as well as a new virus known as Omicron that poses a new threat, it is necessary to assess the technique critically.
Next category of risk assessment is unemployment risk. The coronavirus epidemic is disrupting daily life across the country and has slowed as a result of the movement control order. As a result, a large portion of the working people saw severe changes in their daily lives. Many people were laid off as numerous companies and industry had to close down, and people who commuted to work and had full social leave outside of their homes found themselves in a necessary work from home position. So the situation has had an impact on the unemployment rate in the country. The goal of the risk assessment phase is to protect a person's work and decrease the quantity of unemployment caused by the pandemic in a country. Due to the increase in new daily instances, a full movement control or the MCO was implemented during the month, allowing only vital economy and service sectors to operate. Many people are unable to support themselves and their family during lockdowns because they lack the means to earn the money. For the most part, no money means no meals or at the very least, no shelter. COVID-19 will have far-reaching consequences on the labor sector. For example, lockdowns may have resulted in industry or sector-wide closures. Many corporations and industry players have implemented unpaid leave and layoff to minimize operational expenses and ensure that the company has the cash to weather the storm. Domestic violence resulting in increasing isolation at home, government's lockdown make it difficult for people to work as usual and forcing them to adapt their working method instantly. People are more likely to quit their jobs when they are forced to. Not only that, position with less than 1 meter social distancing make it difficult for workers to do their tasks since they must encounter people face to face and are subjected to several limitations. People working outside become so nervous due to COVID-19 transmission via infected surfaces like desks, doors, equipment, features and fittings. As a result, they abandon their jobs and stay at home to avoid contact with infected surfaces or being carrier or items. Do your work at home. Many people suffered terrible effects as a result of the unexpected loss of their jobs. The COVID-19 disaster has drastically altered people's lives and livelihoods. Unemployment is commonly thought of as an economic problem, but its consequences are far broader since it affects mental health, stress levels, and as a result, an individual life qualities as well as having an impact on the community. This danger has the potential to result in a loss of income, a lack of interest in working, stress, and despair.
Process management risk for unemployment. For the first step is to identify existing and potential risks. One of the potential risks is low aggregate demand. Low aggregate demand will create an excess in aggregate supply, which cause producer to decrease production, which lead to reducing labor or firing them. For the second step is to evaluate potential risks. There are two ways to evaluate, that is frequency and severity. According to Department of Statistics Malaysia, in 2020, the economy recorded negative growth for 3 consecutive quarters for year 2020. Although the severity is low, in August 2020, the lifting up of restriction led to almost all sectors to regain momentum, including tourism industry, due to higher demand. Hence, businesses related to this industry such as accommodation, food and beverages, transportation, and entertainment also experience positive impact. For the third step, it is to examine alternative risk management technique. Referring to the matrix table, it shows loss prevention, and also loss reduction technique. For the fourth step is to select and implement the risk management program. Using loss prevention is more suitable than loss reduction, as the latter is more focused on reducing the severity before and after loss, while loss prevention focuses on reducing the frequency. Example of loss prevention is implementation of National Recovery Plan by the government to accelerate vaccination is a process which enable more economic and social recreational activities to resume. For the last step is to evaluate, reviewing, and controlling the risk management program. In this step, it is necessary to monitor and control the program. This is to ensure that the technique is still appropriate for the circumstances, as things can change. If the technique used does not work, the manager can intervene and make changes to accommodate the situation.
Education risk. The COVID-19 epidemic has had an impact on people's education. Students from wealthy homes with the backing of their parents and a desire to learn may be able to make their way past closed school doors to other learning options. When schools close, those from low-income families were frequently left out. This crisis has brought to light a number of flaws and injustice in our educational institutions, ranging from a lack of access to the bandwidth and computers required for online learning to the lack of supportive surroundings required to focus on learning to a mismatch of resources and needs. Education has changed dramatically as a result of COVID-19. Teaching is done remotely because lecturers cannot teach their students by having a physical class. Students struggle to participate in digital learning because of do not have consistent internet access and technology. This situation results in students hard to understand the learning.
The risk management process for education risks begins with step 1, which is identifying existing and potential risks. The first risk in education is students are exposed to stress and anxiety. This is because they have lost regular access to the school organizations due to COVID-19. During the pandemic, nearly all students faced challenges to their mental health and well-being, and many lost access to school-based services and supports. The second risk is interrupted learning. Schooling is critical for learning, and when school stops, children and teenagers lose out on possibilities for growth and development. The disadvantages are severe for underprivileged students who have fewer educational options outside of school. Moving on to step 2, which is evaluating potential risk. In education risk, there is low frequency. The likelihood of this happening is low. This is due to the fact that not every student is exposed to the same risk, since it is up to the person to determine how they will handle the circumstances. Education risks also have high severity. The extent of the loss could be significant. This is due to the fact that the impact of education on someone during their adolescent years is more likely to do harm than good. For example, if students experience anxiety and stress, they are more likely to experience sadness and separate themselves from others, negatively impacting their mental health. Also affects someone's financial situation, maybe causing them to lose their job and putting their lives in jeopardy. The next one is step 3, which is examining alternative risk management techniques. The first technique is risk avoidance. Students can arrange their activities correctly by avoiding accumulating all of their tasks and doing them all at once, which can generate stress and have an adverse effect on their well-being and mental health. Besides that, students must adhere to their school or university's learning guidelines and strategies, which allow students, teachers, and schools to use flexible and remote home-based learning, which may include homework, assignments, reading material, radio, television, online content, and internet-based learning so that they are not interrupted and left behind, potentially limiting opportunities for growth and development. Next technique is loss reduction. Provide a good and healthy environment for students. A supportive family and a close group of friends, for example, can contribute a favorable environment for students so that they do not feel stressed or depressed about their circumstances while completing their education from home during COVID-19. Moving on to step 4, selecting and implementing the risk management. For this education risk, it has high severity but low frequency, so we can use loss reduction or loss prevention techniques. Lastly, step 5, evaluating, reviewing, and controlling the risk management. By creating a positive learning environment for students and doing another job to supplement money owing to economic insecurity, an individual's education risk can be reduced. These risk management procedures must be strictly adhered to in order to limit the hazards.